Am I wrong for pre-gaming my wife's dinners? My wife and I are both 32. Since we got married and moved in together 5 months ago, my wife has simply not made nearly enough food for me. This is not the kind of situation where I'm constantly agitated at her for incompetence or anything like that. I would be more than happy to microwave a burrito. I would be more than happy to whip up a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. But I can't. My wife has, every single night of our marriage, done the same thing. She'll make me a tiny dinner. I'm talking like a Chinese chicken salad with 30 grams of chicken and 10 leaves of lettuce arranged fashionably with dressing. When I finish eating, I'm still hungry because for a 230-pound man who works a physical labor job, it's not enough food. At first, I tried to openly communicate with her, but she always took it horribly. She would adopt a 1,000-yard stare and then begin talking about how incompetent she is and how she can't even make her husband a proper dinner. I try to calm her down with, "Oh honey, that's not the case, I just eat too much," or "Don't worry about it, I can make a bit more." I try to be overwhelmingly positive. It never helped. She would always just get incredibly disappointed in herself, cry, and or take it out on me. And then she would make the same exact amount the following day. After the communication route failed, I tried to eat her dinners as is. It became hard to sleep at night due to hunger, and I lost 7 pounds in the first month. Eventually, I figured out my own system. On my way home from work, I started swinging by a fast food restaurant and getting myself a burger. I would basically pregame her meals with some more calories. I figured it was a win-win as what she doesn't know can't hurt her, and I could have my fill of food. I would eat on my way home, walk in the door, pick at the salad or quinoa or homemade mac and cheese she made, compliment her for her delicious cooking, and later dispose of the wrappers discreetly. 2 days ago, I was on my way home and in line at a drive-thru. My mother-in-law was coming out of the restaurant. She ran over and greeted me. I asked her in a humorous way not to tell her daughter where she saw me because she'd take it badly, and she agreed. But then she narked on me anyway. I got home to a furious wife who demanded details. When I provided the truth, she got extremely angry and looked legitimately hurt. I'm not good at handling confrontation and feel like I betrayed my wife in some way. Was I wrong here?
The title is My Husband is Cheating on Me with My Best Friend. My husband and I have been dating since I was 19 and he was 22. We've been married for 6 years now. We have 2 kids and I'm 6 months pregnant with our third.
Okay.
2 years ago, I found out my dad has stage 3 colon cancer. My dad is my only parent as my mom passed away when I was 12. He's my favorite human, and life without him just doesn't seem as colorful. His laugh is contagious, and he gives these big bear hugs that seem to make all of your broken pieces feel like they're perfectly in place again. Whenever I've had a hard day, he doesn't poke and prod and just lets me vent and listens. About 5 months ago, we discovered the treatments aren't working for him, and in direct quote of the doctor, he said, "Months, not years." Since then, he's gotten progressively worse and is now losing memory. He looked at the dog he got for me on my 21st birthday and said, "Wow, that's a nice dog. Where'd you get it?" My husband has been my absolute rock. He's been there for me, holding my hand and helping me through this. He's been so loving and attentive to both my kids and I. Don't get me wrong, I am a mother first always. I don't allow myself to wallow. My kids are still loved, cared for, played with, and I haven't let my load slack around the house. Once my dad got this updated prognosis, my husband encouraged me to quit my job. About a month later, we discovered we were pregnant again, and I still hadn't let go of my job. I kept holding out for some reason. After finding out I was pregnant again, he assured me it was still okay to quit my job, that honestly, it would save us a small fortune on daycare costs anyways. So I did. I quit my job. My best friend and I have been best friends since diapers. Her family is like my family and vice versa. My mom and her mom grew up together. We've always been solid, and right after my dad's appointment, when we found out he had so little time left, I drove straight to her house and she held me while I cried for hours. If there are soulmates in friend form, she was mine. Thick as thieves is what my mom used to say. This morning, as I was up with my 3-year-old, he's sick, my husband's work alarm was going off. He has a few set, so I turned that one off and gently woke him up. He said he was up late working, so he took the morning off, rolled over, and went back to sleep. As I went to turn off the remainder of his alarms, I saw a text from my best friend on his lock screen that said, quote, "I'm assuming since there hasn't been any angry pregnant lady on my doorstep, you haven't told her about us yet." I feel sick. I literally feel sick right now. Time froze in that moment. I took his phone and walked away and just read their conversations. 4 months this man has been fucking my best friend. 4 months these people have been lying to my face. And I know what you're going to say. You should have seen the warning signs. But I've been clutching this phone in my hand for 2 hours and nothing. He has been so loving and attentive to me, but he always has been. So kind, so gentle. There's been no late night work nights except for once in a blue moon. There's been no lingering touches between them or even glances. They act as they have since the day I first introduced them. How sick is it that she calls him her brother, but she screws him? I know so many people get a moment of clarity in situations like this, but I have none. Aside from being sad about my dad, I haven't changed. I'm still a loving wife and mother. I still doted on him and my children. I talk to him about how he is doing and how his fucking day was. I haven't allowed the ground to swallow me whole. I know what I have to do now, but I just don't want to. I'm about to lose my family and my support system in one blow. I'll confront him tomorrow. Today, ? Today, I just need the last 24 hours of peace. As for her, I won't give her the satisfaction of a response. I don't care why she did it. She did it, and it's done. I was always the friend who cleaned up her messes. After today, I will cut her out of my life like she never mattered at all. This has to be the hardest storm I'll ever weather, but damn, I know I'll sail through it, if not for me, for my children. Am I the asshole for not making child-inclusive plans that someone in my friend group can't attend? Howdy, guys. Recently, my friend group has been divided on an issue. I have a group of 6 friends and their significant others from high school. All of us are in our mid-20s. The only person with kids in our friend group is Jessica, who has 2 young children and is a single mom. I'm the only person in my friend group that can host, as my husband and I own a decent-sized house and don't have anything stopping us from hosting, I guess. 1 doesn't want to host, 2 live with their parents and can't, another has roommates that won't let them, etc. We all live in a rural area, so there isn't really anywhere to go for more than a quick dinner. So someone hosting is the only way we can all hang out. When I host, it's always later in the day, around 7 p.m.-ish. That's when most of us are off of work. I also have a no children rule for my house, since my dog is afraid of children, and I honestly don't like kids anyways. My nephew yanked my dog's tail several times, so now my dog growls at kids. I had a gathering last weekend, a dinner time barbecue. Everyone was invited. Same rules as normal. Jessica asked if she could bring her kids because she can't afford a babysitter, and since both of their dads aren't involved at all. I said no. Because of my dogs and also because I don't want her baby and toddler at my house. The last time she brought them, she kept trying to push them off on other people who didn't want to hold them so she could relax. Also, her toddler puked on my $5,000 white couch, which I had to replace. No, she didn't pay for it. Why do you have to just clean it? Jessica blew up at me in the group chat and said that I always exclude her. I told her I'm not excluding her. I'm excluding kids, all kids. She's welcome to come if she finds someone to watch her kids. I also told her she's welcome to host. She kind of went on about how none of that is possible, and now she isn't talking to anyone. Our group is split. Half think it's my house, my rules. 1 said maybe if she screwed better guys, she'd be able to have a babysitter. And 2 think that I should just let her kids come. To be honest, if it was someone else, I would maybe cave. But I don't like Jessica that much, especially since she didn't pay for my replacement couch. Am I the asshole for making child not friendly plans that someone in my group can't make it to? It's titled, Is It Strange My Wife is Going Out to Frat/Sorority Parties? I'm 38 years old, and my wife is 35 years old. We live in a small college town, Starkville, Mississippi. Go Bulldogs. We both met in college, in the same area we live currently. We got married and have a 5-year-old. Anyways, I trust my wife, but I feel like she's going through a midlife crisis. She doesn't go out every single weekend to frat parties, but last month she went out 2 times to a frat party, and she goes to the local bars/clubs around here sometimes by herself or with her friends, and she comes home drunk, like very hammered some nights, to the point where I have to help her get into bed. She takes a cab, or sometimes I have to pick her up. Since the year started, she has been to 5 frat parties, and she goes to the bars/clubs a lot more. She also goes to college planned events/concerts that are off campus, like Bulldog Bash. A bunch of drunk college kids at a street concert. I talked to my wife about this, and she said she's just trying to have fun. Her sister also made a comment about her behavior because my wife and I are close with her sister. And she was just over to our house one day getting ready with my wife and I for our daughter's birthday dinner last week. Her sister said, quote, "She's just living her best life. Don't worry about it."
Am I wrong for telling my fiance she looked weird on our wedding night? It's only supposed to be the day she's supposed to feel most confident, so we'll see. I, 32 male, have been dating Sarah, 29 female, for over 2 years. I love her to death and she means the world to me. Also, she's a person who's comfortable with her skin and doesn't use a lot of makeup, which I really adore. And as a couple, we're always honest and tell the truth to one another no matter what. So yesterday was our wedding, and the moment I saw her there, I was shocked. She used a huge amount of makeup that I barely recognized her without hearing her voice. I guess she saw my facial expression and that I was acting a little out of ordinary and asked me what was wrong. So I told her, oh my goodness, that it's nothing, but she looked a little weird with all that makeup on her face. She tried to laugh it off and started talking to her other friends, but to be honest, at that moment, I didn't think it was a big deal. Am I wrong for telling my fiance that on our wedding night she looked weird? She saw my facial expression that I was acting a little out of the ordinary and asked me what was wrong. And remember, we're always honest, so I said it's nothing, but she does look a little weird with all that makeup on her face. She tried laughing it off and started talking to her other friends, and to be honest, I didn't think I said something wrong. Especially because she didn't say anything. However, when we got home, she started to give me the cold shoulder treatment. Of course, I asked her what was wrong, and she said it's nothing and she doesn't feel well and she's tired. To be honest, I think she's hiding something, and that got me wondering if it may be what I said. Duh. Edited to add, thank you guys, I realized how I totally effed up and how my comment was misinterpreted. I do plan on apologizing and I will try to fix things. Yep, top comment says, on the day she's meant to feel most beautiful and stunning, you pulled a funny and told her she looked weird. What a shitty start.
My husband's upset that I gave him permission to get with my best friend. Story time. So my best friend, who we'll call Amy, is a single girly, and she low-key has more in common with my husband, who we'll call Steve. Both of them are very positive people with great senses of humour, but I'd never seen them be flirtatious other than like a quick hello, being cordial with each other whenever they'd see each other. They were always very respectful of each other. So it did come as a little bit of a shock to me when I heard what they had to say. Steve insisted that he loved me, and this was nothing more than just physical attraction. They said that they didn't want to do anything behind my back. So they had basically come to me that day to ask if they could, be with each other. I genuinely think that they thought they weren't doing anything wrong by asking and telling me. I think it'd be easier on their conscience, and they thought that if they told me it wouldn't be classed as cheating, which, okay. So it probably did shock them a little bit when I burst into tears. Amy immediately started crying and apologising. She kept saying how she'd never do anything if I didn't agree to it, and she left very quickly afterwards. After this, I couldn't even look at Steve. I just packed up my bags and went to live with my family for a bit. After a short while, I really regretted leaving, and Steve was calling me literally every day. He said that he would never do anything to upset me, and I asked if they had been having an affair, and he outright denied it. So eventually I moved back in with Steve. We started discussing his and Amy's wish. So I finally agreed. He was very glad, and he reassured me that it was all just physical. Fast forward to now, and all I know is that the deed has been done. Steve offered to tell me about it, but I did not want to know the details. So at first, Steve was really happy he had got a spring in his step. Recently, he started to get a little bit more depressed. He was complaining that I had changed and that he missed me. He was upset that I wouldn't let him tell me what was going on with Amy. And he kept on and he kept on. And I told him that I would give him an unlimited pass if he would stop bringing it up. But that only made him more depressed. And now he is flat out blaming me for the change in our relationship. He said that I tricked him. He said that I could have said no. And that if I had done that, these changes in our relationship would not have happened. Then he started saying that I'm wrong for cutting off Amy because now she's upset that she lost a long-term friendship.